Shamru b'nei Yisrael Emes HaShabbos V'asois es HaShabbos.
Good morning. We're talking more about the laws of Sukkah, specifically if it rains in the Sukkah. So yesterday we spoke about the difference between the first night of Sukkot and the subsequent days of Sukkot. On Sukkot, there's a mitzvah to eat in the Sukkah, but there's a difference between the first night and the other nights. On the other nights, there's only a mitzvah to eat in the Sukkah if you want to eat. And if you're not hungry, technically you don't have to go in the Sukkah. But on the first night, there's a mitzvah that everyone has to go and eat in the Sukkah. So the question is, what do you do if it rains on the first night of Sukkot? So we said in the Mishnah Berurah, what you should do is wait a few hours. He says an hour or two. He brings some other rabbis that would wait the whole night. But really, he says wait an hour or two for it to stop raining. This way you could fulfill the mitzvah of eating in the sukkah. Because some say you don't fulfill the mitzvah at all of eating in the sukkah because no normal person would eat in the rain. So you wait an hour or two, and if it stops raining, you eat in the sukkah. Now, if it doesn't stop raining, what you do is you go to make kiddush in the sukkah in the rain, and you have a little bit of bread, about an egg's volume of bread in the sukkah, and then you can continue the meal inside. Now, you do not make a bracha of leishev b'sukkah because it's raining. Now, let's say you did that. You had a kiddush and you had a little bit of bread in the sukkah, and then you went inside, got dried off, whatever it is, and then it stops raining by the end of the meal. So then you should go back in the sukkah and have bread, and then you could make the bracha of leishev because then you could fulfill the mitzvah because it has stopped raining. And really, you could wait. It's better if you could wait up. That's great. If not. He says also if you're already sleeping, you don't have to get up and go back in the sukkah when it stops raining because that would be difficult, would be mitzdayer. Then the Mishnah Berurah writes, on the second night of Sukkot also, one should wait a little bit if it's raining because the second night also is really, we have 2 days of Yontif because the rabbis weren't exactly sure back in the day, or everyone wasn't sure back in the day when the new moon was. So since we weren't exactly sure when Yontif was, we would have 2 days of Yontif. So really, the second day has some of the rules of the first day of Yontif. So if it's raining on the second night of Yontif, you should also wait a little bit and see if it stops raining. Okay, let's continue. Hayayashen v'yardu geshamim b'layla. Oh, skip Vav. We're on Tafresh Lametes Vav 6:39:6. Hayachol b'sukkah v'yardu geshamim v'halach lebeso upasko hageshamim. Let's say you're eating in the sukkah, and then it starts raining. So in the middle of your meal. So, and you go in your house to finish your meal because you don't have to eat in the sukkah when it's raining. And you go in your house and then the rain stops. In the middle of your meal, the rain stops. Do you have to go back to the sukkah? You just slept all of your plates and all the food and your forks and knives, everything in the house. Now it stops raining in the middle of after the first course. Do you have to go back and schlep everything back to the sukkah? So the Shulchan Aruch says, Ein mechayev enoso lachzor l'sukkah. You do not have to bring everything back to the sukkah. Ad sheyigmor seudaso, until you finish your seuda, until you finish your meal. Because it would be a big tircha, it would be a big imposition in the middle of your meal to go back and schlep everything to the sukkah. Haya'ochel b'sukkah, says the Mishnah Berurah, Huadin kishahaya yardim gishamim kishahaya bebeso va'achel bebeso. Same thing when you started eating in your house because it was raining. Even if you started in the first place in your house eating because it was raining and then it stops raining, you do not have to go in the sukkah. That's important also, even if it stops raining, but the water is still dripping from the schach, that's also considered an imposition, it's considered mitzdayer, and one does not have to eat in the sukkah when that's happening. Until you finish the meal. So he says like this. Let's say it starts raining in the sukkah, and you bring all your stuff inside, and you're about to sit down to finish your meal inside, and then it stops raining. All of the rain stops. So then the Mishnah Berurah says you have to go back. It's not so much of an imposition because you didn't actually start to continue your meal yet. Okay, fine. All right, let's do Sif Zayin. Let's say you're sleeping in the sukkah and it starts raining. When you go inside to sleep, you're in the middle of you're sleeping, you get woken up by drops on your face, and you go in the house, and then it stops raining. So you have to have someone wake you up because maybe it'll stop raining. So you don't have to go back to the sukkah that night. You can finish sleeping in the house. Sleep in your house until dawn. And then you can get up. He says the Ramah writes, we said when one's eating in the sukkah, there has to be enough rain that it would ruin his food to go inside, because no one wants to eat diluted, ruined food from the rain. But he says when it comes to sleeping in the sukkah, you don't have to have a certain amount of rain. Any little bit of rain would bother somebody when they're sleeping. The whole pater min sukkah, he says, anyone who's exempt from the sukkah, ve'enu yotze misham, and doesn't go out from the sukkah, einu mikabel av schar, he doesn't get rewards. He says, don't think that if it's raining by you still sleeping and eating in the sukkah that you're getting reward. Don't think you're being super religious. He says you don't get reward for that, because there's no mitzvah to eat or be in the sukkah or sleep in the sukkah when it's raining. Ela hedyotos, he says they are people that do that are simpletons. Hedyot sounds like the word idiot. I guess that's where it comes from. Simple people. Now, when it rains and you have to leave the sukkah, he says, don't like get angry about it. Ella yetze benichna. You should leave. You should be very humble when you leave. You should be like show humility. Because it's like a servant that poured a cup for his master, and the master threw it in his face. Because we want to go in the sukkah where Hashem's presence dwells, and then it rains, showing that we can't do that mitzvah. So a person shouldn't get angry, but should be very humble that, oh, maybe Hashem doesn't want my mitzvah right now because it is raining. Okay. Let's do a little of the Mishnah Berurahs here. The same rule applies if you're sleeping in your house. When it's raining and it stops, you don't have to go back. So he says the similar thing here. Let's say it starts raining in the sukkah, so you go inside, and then before you go to bed in your room, it stops raining. Yeah, so maybe then you have to go back to the sukkah to sleep. But he says, but he says others are not so sure about this, because he says once you schlepped all of your bedding into the house, it'll be a big imposition to bring it back. So he's not sure if it's raining and you went in the house, you didn't actually go to sleep, do you have to bring the stuff back? So he's not sure about that. But we learned, we learned that when it's raining, a person can leave the sukkah, and the first and second nights one should wait. One should wait a few hours to hope that it stops raining, and if not, on the first night he should make kiddush and have a little bit of bread in the sukkah, and then eat in his house. And if it stops raining after the meal, then he should go back in the sukkah, and he should have he says a little bit more than an egg's volume of bread, and then he can make the bracha of leishev, because we do not make a bracha of leishev when it's raining. Okay, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to send me a text, email, or call. And if we see in the forecast, chas v'shalom, there's going to be rain on the first nights of Sukkot, and this was unclear, please feel free to reach out. Have a great day.